this Green New Deal to CNS News editor Terry Jeffrey, Competitive Enterprise Institute senior fellow Chris Horner. Chris, the president is saying, you know, they don't even know what they want. We've learned the mistakes that were made with the release of this this initiative with the wrong question and answer that was attached to it to explain its provisions, and that was incorrect. So not a great launch, but what he is saying is be careful what you wish for. You might get it, and the U.S. would get the shorter end of the stick. What do you make of what he's saying?
Well, he's right on that. We have heard for 15 years from Europe that it's not fair that they're showing too much leadership, that no one else is doing this to themselves, too. So there's one lesson. Second, President Obama promised that if we made these promises, China would follow. And China's reciprocal promise in the Paris Climate Treaty, it was a treaty, ended up being less than business as usual. So I think we can put aside this myth that you go first and we'll follow sometime tomorrow. It isn't going to happen because this resolution seeks to mandate a state-run utopia. And whether these people like it or not, there will always be in America. It's just if they get their way, it'll likely end up being in Asia somewhere. So it's true that we would be the only ones harming ourselves in this way. It's true that we would have what's called leakage. There's a term coined for it because companies flee to countries that don't do this to themselves, and that's going to be the overwhelming majority of the world, just as it is now.
All right, now, the president has sort of linked this and other parts of their agenda, including higher taxes on the wealthy, higher estate taxes, a wealth tax, to send a message that the president has called socialism. And I'm wondering, Terry, whether he's taken this green initiative in that direction as well, and that he's already found his 2020 campaign themes. What do you think?
Well, I think he no doubt has, Neil, and I think he's absolutely right. You know, leaving aside their frequently asked questions that they withdrew, the Green New Deal is only 14 pages. People ought to read it. For example, in it, they literally call for net zero greenhouse gas emissions in 10 years. They call for upgrading all existing buildings in the United States. Can you imagine what kind of federal government we would need to make sure that we had zero greenhouse gas emissions in 10 years? To make sure that every single building in the United States, every single middle-class family's home was upgraded, quote-unquote, the way that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wants it. I mean, the vision of government that is in the New Deal, the Green New Deal, is all controlling. It would be in every aspect of your life, and in order to implement what they claim they want to do, which is nuts.
You know, we talk about Congresswoman Cortez, Chris, but the pretty much forgotten point here is all the leading Democratic presidential candidates, including Senator Klobuchar, deemed a moderate, have signed on to this. Clearly, I don't think, without reading it. And now that there are problems with the stuff that they were reading and found out that a lot of the attachments to this proposal were wrong, I'm wondering if they feel like fools or they're keeping the progressives happy by maintaining and honoring the progressive banner, even though they themselves have serious doubts about it.
Right. I suspect that's because of the noble lie that this is premised upon. It opens with the climate alarmist catechism, but then it launches into the mandating a federal guarantee of utopia and guaranteed income and so on. I suspect the presidential candidates signed on because it is sailing in under the flag of climate salvationism. Unfortunately, they're wedding themselves to what accurately is described as it's utopianism or socialism. As Terry pointed out, you're talking about a spectacular size government, so we could say it'll create jobs, right? It's just going to kill far many more to seek to do this, and that's going to stick to their heels, even though they're hoping to just cling to the climate alarmism, because that party certainly has moved its center far enough left that they all have to do this. Have they moved it entirely left that they all have to be Bernie-type socialists? Well, hopefully we'll have, as they like to say, that discussion, because that's what the bulk of this 14 pages is about.
All right, gentlemen.